Let me also, in fact, join Indra Shekhar Singh in Indra Shekhar. On ground, what are the obstacles that the relief teams are facing, even as the floodwaters, of course, do not recede as yet, and also the adverse weather continues in certain parts of the state? What are the obstacles and the challenges that are obviously making relief, rescue, rehabilitation even all the more difficult on ground in Punjab?
Thank you there for having me on your show. And first thing I would like to say is that we don't actually know what is the extent of the damage. Right now, because of loss of connectivity, loss of roads, we don't really know what is the exact damage that's caused and where is the last villager that's suffering. The last village where crops have been damaged, where cows and dairy and all these other very essential things for Punjab have been damaged. So the first thing is that we don't know exactly how much damage has been done. We are still trying to estimate, and we're trying our best. I'm not saying that not enough efforts are being put at it, but this is, still we don't know how badly Punjab has been hit. And that's where I come to my second point, that we have to understand that the problem of Punjab actually does not begin in Punjab. It begins in Himachal Pradesh. It begins in the areas where these rivers come from. And the second problem lies at these big barrages and the big dams, which have released waters without the farmers knowing, without the state of Punjab being prepared to divert these waters away from the villages and away from the settlements. So there is deforestation in Himachal Pradesh, there is illegal mining, there is basically rockbed mining, there is just extreme deforestation in the upper Himalayas, which has caused this problem to increase many folds. It's not that there were no cloudbursts earlier in history, also. There were cloudbursts in history too. But because there were trees, because there were grasses, the water could be held up in the mountains. And the water and the silt and sediments and the debris did not flow down. We saw many videos, I cannot verify them, but from Chamba, and even the Supreme Court has said that what are all these logs doing in the debris? These trees, these massive tree that have been cut, and now they're flowing down into Himachal and destroying the barrages and even the dams. So how is this possible? So I think the real problem here lies in how we treat the catchment areas of our rivers. And the second thing is what happened in the dams, the big dams that we have and the barrages that we have, when the water levels were exceeding. Why were the people not warned? On whose order were the barrages asked to stop the water for so long that when this heavy rainfall came, the barrages could not contain that water? Now we are getting multiple reports that sometimes some of these barrages were not even kept properly or were not functional to their 100%. So who's responsible? India wants to know, and I come back to my first point. First of all, we need a white paper on who's actually responsible for the bleeding and killing of Punjab. And the nation wants to literally know that why is Punjab suffering? Why is Himachal suffering again? Why is Uttarakhand suffering again? Why is Kashmir suffering again? The same principles of corruption, greed have eaten into these mountain states, into these hill states, because of which the plains are deeply affected. And my heart reaches out not just to the victims, but also to the relief workers who are now putting all their best energies
Do
in
you
trying to
believe
reach
then,
the
Indra
last person.
Shekhar, that at some point this tragedy is also man-made? Of course, there have been reasons of climate change and, of course, the unprecedented weather cited as well. But do you believe somewhere then that this tragedy is also man-made?
Uday, I think the Supreme Court agrees with me and says that this calamity is actually man-made. So when the courts are saying this, anybody who's watching this knows that this is a man-made, and not even man-made. It's not like all Indians have come together and made this tragedy happen. It's the greed of a political class that's caused the corruption, that's caused the deforestation, that's caused the illegal mining, and given them patronage. I think the fault lies with the people who create these policies and the people who do not stand against corruption and the destruction of the environment. It's their fault. It's not a man-made thing. It's actually made by a few men and women who are responsible for the deforestation, for the illegal corruption, and for environmental degradation. These are the people who have killed our Devbhoomi. We think that the Himalayas are sacred to us, and they are sacred to many people, despite your Hindu, Muslim, whatever you are. The Himalayas are a sacred place for this country. They give us our waters. Now, if anybody who's going and destroying the Himalayas, why are we as a civilization, as a people, allowing that? I think that's a major question to ask. And all these people, they are the real people who are doing adharmic things. This is the real sin of today's time. This is the ecological sin that is causing and now giving its consequence to millions of people in Punjab, not just in India, but also across the border. So it's a great human suffering. Pakistan is also going to use this as like an international, it's going to create pressure in India that because of India, people in Pakistan are also now flooded. So we are now entering a geopolitical problem just because of internal corruption and deforestation that's happening in our Devbhumis.
All right, let me in fact